Welcome to this part 3 of development and spread of extremism. Okay, this is the part 3 of that. I have already explained all the basic parts in the previous lectures. In the part 1, part 2, then political spectrum, I have explained what is the left, what is right, what is center, what is extreme left, what is extreme right, what are the consequences of those things. Okay, this session, Naxalism and Maoism, is a very big one. That's why I have made a separate session for this. Many a times you will hear Naxalism and Maoism terms interchangeably by the media, and because of this thing it create confusion to the local public. Okay, what actually the scene is, just apply a simple logic behind these two terms, and if you understand this term, then everything related to this Naxalism and Maoism will be clear. The first one is that all Maoists are Naxalites, but all Naxalites are not Maoist. Okay, just we will understand this a small Venn diagram. That this one, this is your Maoist. Okay, this Maoist will come under, this is your Maoist. Okay, this will come under one session, that is this will come under your Naxalite. Okay, this is your Naxalite one. Okay, so all your Maoist will be a Naxalite, but all Naxalite, this one, this remaining part, this blank part, will not come, this is not coming under Maoist. Okay, so all Maoist are not or Naxalites are not Maoist. Okay, I hope you understand it better. So with this Venn diagram I am moving ahead, and I will explain you in more details the difference between this Naxalism and this Maoism. Okay, so the background is that the central part of India is blessed with the both forest and mineral resources. What happened? See, government started exploitation of those regions where the resources are present. Okay, and resources are present in where? They are present in the forest region, and in this forest region who are living? The tribal people are living. Okay, what happened when the exploitation of those regions take place? The tribal people get alienated from those areas. Okay, and this alienation make them to raise voice to the government, and when the government did not listen, they raise arms against the government, and thus this gives a rise of Naxalites kind of situation, and this they further move to the terrorism kind of things. Okay, so somehow if we see, there are the creation of these Naxalites and all is responsible, is done because of our failure of the policies also by the government. Okay, but even how it is illegal, that's why government used harsh term like security forces are deployed in those regions to tackle with these kind of things. Okay, so this over exploitation of those regions, making those tribal people alienated. Even further, if you think that when the exploitation happen for their regions, to whom it is benefiting? It is benefiting to the industrialist, and those people who are living in those regions are tribal one. They are completely dependent upon nature for any rituals, any celebration of their tribes are dependent upon nature only. They are not getting benefit by the industries. Even the peoples, like if there is a village, let's suppose we are excluding tribal people, if the village is there, and if some development is going on, actually this development is benefiting whom? This development is benefiting to the industrialists, to the rich people. And this type of exploitation was not done in the sustainable manner. At that time there was no Niti Aayog. Now we are following the Niti Aayog, where we have sustainable goals are there around. We have around sustainable goals where we have to overcome with the poverty and all, and we have to achieve this by 2030 under the Niti Aayog. Okay, but at that time there was no such method. They were completely dependent upon the nature. Over exploitation was going on. Okay, that kind of situation, made a rise of our Naxalism and all. And this Naxalism and Maoist term are completely different. Many times people used to confuse, so I will clear in this session. Okay. So in this slide it is written that the central part of India is blessed with the both forest and mineral resources. Okay, the Chota Nagpur plateau is blessed with the variety of regions and experienced over exploitation since 1950 plans of India development. Whenever the plans of India is developed now, yeah, it is true that developments depends upon the resources only, but it should be in sustainable manner. If you are using the development in unsustainable manner, even if the nature has the capability to renew it, nature will not be, because the speed of replenish those substance and the exploitation of the substance will be higher. Thus the nature will fail to recover, to regenerate that exploited item. Okay, even that substance is renewable, but the most of times we are dependent upon non-renewable resources. Okay, this is a developing country, and just think the scenario of developed country. Developed country, if you compare developed country should need less resource. Developed country should be dependent upon less resource because they are already developed, and developing country should use more number of resource. But actual survey says that the developed country use 50% more resources than the developing countries. See how much this difference is, that we are exploitation of the environment is going on. This is this thing I talked about with the global perspective, but now we have to stick with the topic with the India perspective. Okay, this was from the global perspective view. Okay, so the Chota Nagpur plateau is blessed with a variety of regions and experienced over exploitation since 1950 for the India's development. This exploitation deprived the local people from their traditional rights. They were not receiving the benefits of this development, because this development benefit was going to whom? To industrialists, to rich peoples. Okay, and as it was reaching to the other regions, to them, not to them. Okay. So now we will move to the information that we have to know with respect to the Naxalism. Similarly, there will be one more slide with respect to your Maoism. Same information that we have to know. Okay. So the difference between Maoism struggle and the Naxalite movement is that the both trace their origin from the Naxalbari uprising of 1967. See, Naxals emerged from the Naxalbari uprising of 1967, and this name came from a village name of Naxalbari. This is situated in the West Bengal. I think it is near the Darjeeling. Okay. So, and after that they started to follow the policy of Maoism. Maoism is formed in the China only. We will have a separate section for it. We will see. So it is just think that Naxalbari, after emerging of Naxals, if they follow the policy of Maoism, if they raise arms against the government, then they will call as a Maoism. Okay, that's why I have said in the starting that all Maoism are Naxalism, but all Naxalism are not Maoism. Okay, this is Maoism and this is Naxalism. So all Maoism are Naxalism, that is, they are coming under the Naxalism only, but all Naxalism are not Maoism. Why? If this Naxalism, if this section of people, like let us suppose there is two Naxal. Let us suppose there is a people A, there is a section A, there is section B. Okay, section A raised arms against the government. Okay, and section B is dependent upon the mass movement. Okay, it means dharna and all. Okay, so what happened? The section A who raised arms against the government will be counted under Maoist one. Okay, and there are some policies of Maoist, so they will see. So it means they will come under the Maoism, but who are they? They are Naxalism only, and within the Naxalism there is one section B, which are not raising arms against the government, and they are maybe moving with the political agendas, or maybe they are doing some mass movement. Okay, so these are also Naxalism, but these are not Maoism. Okay, so I hope you understand it better. I have cleared it. I have given so much time for explaining this term, because many a times people used to confuse. Okay, so but while the Naxalite movement thrives on the original spirit of Naxalbari is the name of village, and the Maoist struggle is an outcome of 1967 uprising. So after that Naxalbari movement, there is an uprising of arms against by reading the books of Mao Zedong. Who is Mao Zedong? I will tell you. So this Maoist an outcome of that 1967 uprising. Okay, so the Maoist works with an agenda and they use weapons to achieve their aims. See, this is very important that I have talked right now. Maoism work with an agenda to use weapon. They use weapon to achieve their aims, while Naxalism focuses on mass organization. Okay, they focuses on mass organization, while the Maoist relies on the arms only. Okay, and if this Naxalism choose arms, if they choose arms, then they will be called as Naxalism. Then they are, it means that they are following the Maoism policy. Okay, but the main organization of the follow the mass organization. Okay, and ultimately when they raise weapons, they will be called as terrorist, because they are creating terror, so then they will come as the terrorist. Okay, now the CPI formed, that's the CPI, this formed in 1925 and get split into 1964, and after the split of CPI you will get CPI M, that is CPI Marxist, and again there become some division got followed, then it gives a CPIM KM, that Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin. Okay, so they believe in the secularism, that CPI they believed in the secularism and democracy. Okay, and farmers, and they got the support, therefore working as their political party, so they got the support of the farmers and all. And before explaining, again I will pause it here and I will explain one more term, that is communalism and communism. So it is very important thing, communism and communalism. There is difference between communalism and communism. Communalism is dependent upon religion. If there is some division in the society, because of religions, then it will be communalism. And communism is your Karl Marx communism, where Karl Marx talked that there should not be any poor or rich society, there should not be capital society. He was against that one. It means that he was saying that if a person A, that is a labor, and it is working in an industry and producing a car, okay, and currently he does not have a situation, he does not have a capability to buy that car, okay, then what will happen? It means that there is inequality is present. So the Karl Marx said, if a person A is producing a product car, then he must have the ability to buy that car. Okay, and if a person is not able to buy that car, it means someone is making profit, who is industrialist. Okay, that should not be happen, that should not be there. Okay, that was explained there. Okay, so I think you understand. So the difference between communalism and communism is this one only, and don't intermix, these are completely different terms, don't use it interchangeably. So where I was, so they opposed, that CPI opposed forces of sectionism, that when our country was getting divided, that is into that was getting into India and Pakistan, when our country was getting divided, so they opposed this sectionism, that is the division of country into India and Pakistan. So they further opposed the division of the society on the basis of religions, that is communalism. They were against the division of the society based on the communalism. Okay, and they were in the favor of communism. Sorry for this small glitch. So this CPI was in favor of communism, that Karl Marx communism, that division, that labor should be able to buy that car, that one communism. And they were not in the favor of communalism, that is the division of the society based upon the religion. Okay, and significant presence in the state of Kerala, West Bengal, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and they were a strong pillar of, that is in the left front, that I explained in the political spectrum lecture. You can go through that, it is present in the channel. So gradually they are losing its popularity, as the most of the things got help from Naxalism. At what happened when the division occurred, gradually currently also they lost many of the popularity, because the Naxalism was getting emerged from their groups. Okay, ultimately what happened that many people, many members within the CPI, as the leader get changed, they started to get form their another party, as and they were forming another Naxal groups and all. Okay, that's why they lost its popularity. Then that division that were created, that CPIM, Marxist Front, so it is a branch of CPI, the showing Marxist more radical ideas, Marxist one. Okay, it founded in the 1961 as a split, so everything is same, that whatever they are following, that communalism, that they're following communism, not communalism, everything was same. They're getting support of the farmers too. They supported factory workers, farmers, agriculture laborers. They opposed the idea of liberalization, that is opposing the capitalist ideology. It means favoring the communism, the same thing. They avoided the society exploitation, and it was in, they were in power in West Bengal without a break for 34 years. Okay, this was the main thing. Now we will see Mamata Banerjee and all. Okay, so they were, CPIM was in power in West Bengal without a break, without losing the ruling party for the 34 years, and they enjoys a strong support in West Bengal, Kerala, Tripura, acting as a regional parties. So okay, the first CPI broke, then CPIM, then CPI-ML we get. Okay, in the faction of the CPIM, then we will get the CPI-ML faction. Okay, so this was just the small information that was needed for Naxalism. Okay, now we are moving to the Naxalism topic. So Naxalism, or as I've already said, Naxalism is just a term get from the village name Naxal Bari. Okay, Naxal Bari, that is present in where? That is present in the West Bengal, where in the Darjeeling region. Okay, from there they got the name. So the Naxalism originated as a rebellion against marginalization of the poor forest dwellers, and gradually against the lack of development and poverty at the local level in rural parts of the eastern India, that's Sikkim and Siliguri corridor. So this not completely eastern, but little bit eastern, northeastern we can say. So it began in the 1967 with an armed peasant uprising in Naxalbari village of Darjeeling district. So this gave the term Naxal, and when they raised the arm, then we will call it as a Maoism. So in coming session we will know it. So Naxalbari, they raised the arms against the government. Okay, so this was a violent uprising of the peasant against the feudal structure. Feudal structure means what? Land based structure. Land was the currency at the time. Jamindars and all, jamindars were completely dependent on lands. They were not giving lands to the poor. Poor were become overburdened with the loans and all to the jamindars. Okay, so this was a violent uprising of the peasants against the feudal structure. It was against the landlords and the jamindars. They further targeted the government officials too, who supported the landlords and jamindars. So who were supporting the landlords and jamindars, they used to attack those Naxalism also. So see, what is the issue? That by reading those terms we can see that this is a violent one, and these are against the peace for the India, but they were the deprived one. Ultimately they are who? They are the people of India, they are the citizen of India, and they are raising arms because of being unhappy with the government, because of the policies the government are not taking care of the for doing citizens. So we will see that in the coming series of the lectures, we will see that the government sometimes used to give them chances to surrender them, because ultimately they are not terrorists, they are just a people who are deprived by the poor implementation of the policies of the Indian government, and thus they raised arms. At the end they are who? They are the Indian citizen only. Okay, so there must be a one corner, that is a kind corner for us. Okay, so the Naxalite movement engages in a guerrilla warfare, ambush attack. What is guerrilla warfare? The attacks that is based on the geographical area. These Naxalite movement are, these Naxalite peoples are who? These Naxalite peoples are local people only. Local peoples raised arms against the government, and these local people knows the geographical area very well. They can hide and they can attack. Hide and attack, and the people, like the security forces of the government, when they go to those regions, they are not aware of the geographical area. Now we have a satellite and all, so we can be aware of the geographical area, but during that time there was no such equipment, so the local people were aware of the geographical area. Thus this give a benefit to them, and they used to fight the guerrilla warfare. Similarly, as the Shivaji Shivaji, that Marathas were expert in guerrilla warfare, and when they went to the Delhi by the Mughals, when they went to fight with the Mughals, they lost because that land, that fight was on the plain land. It was not because they were expert in guerrilla warfare. Okay, so the Naxalite movement engages in guerrilla warfare against the Indian security forces as propounded by the Mao Zedong. Who is Mao Zedong? We will see in the next session. That is within this lecture in the next slide. So the CPI-ML, Marxist and Leninist, has been fighting elections in several states across India. So most prominent among these groups are CPI-ML Liberation, CPI-ML Kanu, CPI-ML Jan Shakti, CPI-ML New Democracy, and others. So no need to remember it because there are many factions of CPI, so it is not possible to remember them all. So the main thing you have to remember that the Naxalites emerge from whom? CPI only. They emerge from the CPI groups of the leader only. As the leader changes, they have different thoughts, and ultimately the emergence of Naxalist took place. Okay. Now we will see some information that is needed for Maoist kind of thinking. How this Maoist kind of thinking emerged. Okay. So Maoism originated in China as a form of communist theory deprived from the teachings of Chinese political leader, that is Mao Zedong. See, here is the root cause of Maoism. Maoism is emerged from the Mao Zedong only. He was the leader whom his teachings was used as the of communist theory. Okay, and one book was written. The name of the book is Guerrilla Warfare 1937. Yeah, he wrote some book also. Military strategy was there. So people used to read those books, these strategies, and the people, those who follows these policies of Mao Zedong, they will be called as the Maoist. Those people we call it as a Maoist, and ultimately that if the Naxal peoples are raising arms, then they will be called it as a Maoist one. Okay, so this Maoism originated in China as a form of communist theory derived from the teachings of Chinese political leader into Mao Zedong. And Maoists were the loyal believers of the chairman Maoist philosophy that powers flow from the barrel of the gun. As I said, see, Naxalism are based upon the mass organization, okay, but Maoists are based upon the arms struggle, that is guns and all. That's why there is a philosophy as per Mao Zedong that power flows from the barrel of guns, not by the mass mobilization. As the Naxalism believes in mass mobilization, but the Mao Zedong believes in the guns and all, that arms and all. Okay, see, when this Naxalism raise arms against the government, then this Naxalism will be they will be following the Maoism policy. Okay, and those who are not following the Naxalism, that will be the mass one. So when the Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist, was born out of Naxalbari uprising after 1967, as I have already said, after 1967 uprising, this Maoist struggle outcome, this Maoist CPI, ML, Karl Marx and Vladimir, that CPI ML was formed. So okay, so this is here written that when the Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist, was born from the Naxalbari uprising, that is 1967, a section of communist rebels retained a distinct identity. After this one, that with this one section that retained a distinct identity. What distinct identity? They were raising arms only. If they chose arms, they moved against from the mass movement and they started to raise arms. Okay, so along with the Marxism and Leninism, a new concept which is of Maoism emerging into India, that is Maoism one. Okay, what is the Maoism one? Let us see. So around 1966, a Maoist Communist Center was formed in West Bengal. Keeping a low profile in the earlier years, the group shot into prominence in Bihar in mid 1980s, and like they came into, like it was like a small group, and they became famous when they shot a group of 54 Rajputs in Bihar in Dalechek Bhagura village of one in the Aurangabad and all. Okay, so it was like their prominence in Bihar, and when they killed 54 Rajputs in this Bhagura village of Aurangabad. Okay, this is another place, this is another place. Okay, so their prominence like place, their prominence that is presence was present in Bihar. So in other words, there are two fundamental differences between the Naxalites and Maoists. Okay, see, it is very important term, just you will understand to know. This line is not very much important, no need to remember, it was just a sake of information I was given. Okay, so in the other words, there are two fundamental differences between the Naxalite and Maoist. Okay, what? while the Naxalites take part in elections and many of them are registered party within the Election Commission of India, Maoists do not support elections and all. They just believe that they have to remove the government. They want independence. They don't want any government. They have raised arms against the government. Okay, that's why I have said that Naxalism believe in mass movement. That's why we will see a party CPI and all. There are many parties of CPI. They are fighting with the government for the farmers and all, for the giving their rights, for giving their whatever the rights they need as a political agenda. And when these member believed that government is not listening, so some people get faction away, that get removed away and raised arms against the government. Okay, that was the one scene. Okay, another scene is that another section is that CPI, that they believed in elections, they believed in the government policies. So and that's why they used to raise arms. Okay, dharna is allowed. Okay, that's why. So they believe in elections, but the Maoist is one who they have raised against arms. So if you are raising arms against the government, it means what? You are going against the constitution of the country. You are going against the government, and thus this is the main difference. Thus this is that difference that makes difference between the Naxalites and the Maoism. Okay, so Naxalites are who raised arms against the government, then they will become under Maoism. So it means they are following the policies of Maoism. So also the Naxalites may have armed wing, but the existence of Maoist depend upon the armed militia only. Okay, Naxalite may have arm and may not have arm, because the main policy of Naxalites are to follow mass movement. Okay, but the Naxalites are dependent upon the armed only. They have their own military, they have their own soldiers. Okay, that is the main difference. So you have understand. Just remember, if you have any confusion with the Naxalism and Maoism, just draw the Venn diagram. This is Maoism and this is Naxalism. Okay, this one big circle is Naxalism. Under the Naxalism you can see Maoism. It means that all Maoism are Naxalism. This is the Venn diagram, but all Naxalism are not Maoism. This is the simple mathematics. So let us move. That is the Maoism, that is the main thing. So Mao Zedong is the founder father of the People's Republic of China, PRC, 1949, and Communist Party of China. So he founded the Communist Party of China. So he led a revolutionary movement against the Republic of China and managed to capture state power through an arms struggle. See, here only this Maoism term came. And because as he got the success by raising arms against the government, that's why it gained popularity. That gave him popularity. And this, by seeing this popularity, this Naxalism people, that Naxalbari people also raised arms against the government. Okay, that thing, that is the issue that gave him the popularity, and thus these people started to raise arms again. So the people who raise arms as the Naxalbari one, then they will be called as they are following the Maoism policy also. So the writing and the philosophy of developed by Mao Zedong along with his military strategies and political thoughts is clubbed together, and this is known as Maoism. Okay, what is the difference? Again I will repeat. The writing and the philosophy developed by whom? Developed by Mao Zedong. Who was Mao Zedong? Mao Zedong is the founder of the People's Republic of China, that is Communist Party of China. Okay, so the writing and philosophy developed by the Mao Zedong along with these military strategies and political thought. This military strategies, where it has own military people, where he will raise the arms against the government to establish the communist government in that country, and their political thought, when they clubbed together, when they will mix together, this will something known as Maoism. Okay, and as they led arms struggle against the rich people and people who were in power, and labeled it as the people's movement. Okay, it was something that these poor people, these farmers, raised arms against whom? They raised arms against the powerful people, rich people. Okay, so this ideology got spread, this ideology got popularity also, and this spread to the neighboring countries such as China, such as Nepal and India. And in India, the first case of left-wing extremism was reported in the Naxalbari village, when the peasant rose up in the rebellion against the landlord and the jamindars in the feudal society of West Bengal. Okay, From here, this time, the first time we saw the left wing extremism. Okay, left wing extremism, what? They are not dependent on the religions kind of thing. This is not something extreme religious. Extreme religious, if something is getting emerged like BJP, Bhagwadhari and all, then that will be called as right extremism. Okay, this is something based on the ideology, based on the radical ideas that we want freedom, we want the ideology, science and technology. They will see in the same way. I have explained that in the political spectrum. Go to that lecture. Okay, so that they will emerge from the left wing extremism. Okay, they were left wing extremism. This was the first case of India when the India faced left wing extremism in the Naxalbari village of the West Bengal in the Darjeeling season, and from there we got a term and based on the name of that village, that Naxal. Okay, so Mao Zedong written his military strategy book, I have already said, Guerrilla Warfare 1937, and in Yu Chi Chan, Mao delineated factors such as terrain, communication, popular support. It is a mass which cannot be succeeded without the help of local people and significance. Okay, see one more thing. See, this kind of people, this Maoism kind of principle, or even if you take Naxalism and all, okay, especially right now with the Maoism, they are whom? They are fighting against the government. Okay, and who will fight against the government? The deprived people. Okay, then who are deprived people? Deprived people are the local people. Okay, it means what? If they are raising arms, then government will launch security forces against them, and security forces have much power, so they will kill them. What happened? And security forces will not kill innocent people. They will not kill local people who are not raising arms. So what happened? Mao Zedong in his book, he wrote that the most important thing in the Maoist movement is your communication, and the connection with the local people, the communication and the help of the local people. Okay, and the one more thing, that you have to be relevant with the terrain. So as I have said that Naxal movements based upon the guerrilla warfare, the same thing he is repeating here, that you have to be familiar with the terrains of the region, geographical area. Okay, that is the same thing he is repeating, and the same thing was taken as a by reading his books and all. This Naxalites people took it and they raised arms. Okay, so they succeeded, that popular support, and it is a mass support which cannot be succeeded without the help of local people. If the local people is not helping you, then for whom you are fighting? That if Maoist people has raised arms against the government, for whom they have raised arms against the government? They have raised the arms against the government for the local people, for the welfare of them, for the welfare of the families, and for the welfare of the family to which in the regions they are living, that is the local one. Okay, so the significance of the local people was written in his book, and to build a propaganda strategy so that the leader will convince local by brainwashing them and making them joining their group against the state forces. Further, if they are lacking behind the group, if they are lacking behind the member in the Maoist group, so it has further written in his book that make them so convinced that they will join your group, and they will also start raising arms against the government. Okay, it means what? Ultimately you have to brainwash them that government is not doing such policies. What are you getting with the government job? Government job means further the government job is not giving to you, they are giving to the urban people. You are not getting any jobs. Plus the government is not taking care of you further, and you are giving tax to the government. Whatever the things you are purchasing from the market, you have to pay taxes. So these kind of brainwashing they will provide, that ultimately you are only paying to the government and government is doing nothing for you. So these kind of brainwashing to them, so that make them to join with you. Okay, so the quality of cadres, base areas, set your base areas, technical aid required, surprise attacks, sudden attacks to security forces of the government, relative military capability of the opposing side as crucial for the victory. Like if you are attacked suddenly, these kind of strategies, too much strategies were written. This all by the Mao Zedong in his book, that guerrilla warfare. So I have explained very deeply in this kind of for this topic. Okay, I hope that you don't have any doubt for this one. Okay, now so it teaches that Mao Zedong, it teaches to capture state power through a combination of armed insurgency, mass mobilization and strategic alliances. And Mao called this process as the protracted people war. What do you understand? Protracted people war? It means it will be a long war. It will not be a short war. Okay, you have to fight this war for a long period. See, ultimately it is happened that government is in the powerful for that country, so government will have much weapon, and the weapon with those Maoists will be the less one. So that's why he has said that make this fight for a long period. That will make the government sick and frustrated with this group, and ultimately government have to agree with the terms and condition of the Maoism that they will put if such groups. So that's why he gave that this is the process that we have to follow, protracted people war. It means the long war. He knew that through the revolutionary step they cannot extend for a long and make crushed by the state power, because state has much power. So that's why they have to make it a long war. So they moved for the protracted people war, which could run for a decades. Okay, understand the logic why they want to extend this war for a long period, because they knew that if they want to run such war for a short period, government have much power and they can be easily crushed. So that's why they have made that make this war for a long period. If the government will just hide for some time, again when the security forces will come, tackle, we don't give face to face, for hide for some time, again start raising arms or firing on the security forces after 1 month, 2 months. So these can like create a late, creating make that fight late, not fast, make it slow. That make government frustrated, and at last government will have to agree with your terms and condition, because if a government is putting security forces in those in your areas, ultimately government is also spending for their foods and all. So the money of the government is also wasting for those kind of things. Expenditure of the government is increasing, that they will push. Then this kind of situation, extension of those kind of situation will make the government lean down and will agree to your terms and conditions. This was the tactics, this was the strategy of Mao Zedong. Okay, so the Maoist ideology glorifies violence, and therefore the bearing of arms is non-negotiable as per the Maoist insurgency doctrine. Okay, Maoists fundamentally consider the industrial-rural divide as a major division exploited by the capitalism. I don't think that there is anything left in the explaining for this topic. Okay, I'm moving ahead. So what are the key points that you have to mention with the Naxalism and the Maoism? So Maoism originated in China, while the Naxalism is derived from the Naxalbari village of West Bengal. Okay, terrorist does not belong to any movement or a party. Okay, terrorist is terrorist. Those who are the people who will create terror within a country, that will be called as a terrorist only. Okay, so when these Naxalites will raise arms and all, then will be called as a terrorism. So the Naxalite is mostly the Indian subcontinent and is a member of an armed revolutionary group advocating Maoist communism. Okay, it means that they are not Maoism, they are advocating the Maoism communism group. They are using the policies of the Maoist. Okay, so the terrorism is use violence and intimidating the pursuit of political aims, and Naxalites believe in Maoism and practice terrorism. See, this is a very important line, very beautiful line, that Naxalites believe in Maoism, the principle of Maoism. They will raise arms, they will make favor, they will get the favor of the local people, so that their communication will improve, and by this they are practicing what? They are ultimately practicing terrorism. They will kill those people also, they will kill government people also, those who are doing jobs. So who will do such kind of things? Terrorists only do such kind of things. Okay, so therefore the two terms, that is Naxalite and Maoist, should not be used interchangeably, as they are not same and their ideologies have completely different roots. Okay, so I hope you understand that a note Maoism originated in China and all. Sorry for this small glitch. So Maoist originated in China as a form of communist theory derived from the teachings of Chinese political leader of Mao Zedong, and it was widely applied as the political and military guiding ideology of the Communist Party of China till 1977 to 78. Okay, Further, it emphasized the advancement of people's social and economic life by establishing a classless society. There should not be any class through armed revolution. And India, as a democratic, we will not accept any armed revolution. You can raise voice, but it should not be an armed one. It was rooted in the anti-imperialist struggle and supported armed revolution in order to achieve a political transformation. And Naxalism is actually based on the principle of Maoism to achieve a similar transformation in India. This is very important. Remember, Naxalism is actually based on the principle of Maoism to achieve similar transformation in India. Okay, similar transformation in India. That means in China it was Maoism and in India it is Naxalism. Okay, here you will, I think you understand it very clearly. Maoism, that is for China, Naxalism is for India. And where from Naxalism got that idea? Naxalism got the idea from Maoist, because they happened earlier and they got the strategies of all those Maoism idea, and they raised the arms against the government and to make a similar transformation in India, that political transformation in India. Okay, I hope it is clear. So the Naxals are considered far left radical communists who supported Maoist political ideology. I have explained it previously that it is the extreme leftist one ideology. Their origin can be traced to the split that take place in the Communist Party of India, Marxist, in 1967. Okay, they have traced from there only that Naxalbari village. This happened in the Naxalbari village. Then we got the term Naxals and all. So it led to the formation of Communist Party of India, Marxist and Leninist. After that, and initially the movement had its center in the West Bengal, and thereafter it spread to less developed areas of rural, central and eastern India such as Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and all through the activities of underground groups like the Communist Party of India, Maoist one. Okay, and it is illegal one, Maoist group. So I hope you understand it, but I have given too much time in this one because it is a very big lecture and too many people are confused in the term of Naxalism and Maoism. Okay, so the two major outfits operated in India. So in the 1975 Maoist Community Center was set up, which was largely operating in Bihar and West Bengal, and it was very active in neighboring regions as well. No need to explain it here anything here. In 1980 the Communist Party of India, Marxist Leninist People War, are also popularly referred as People's War group, was set up, and it was something like to there are also something like to delaying kind of things, as I've explained in the previous one. But don't give much attention to this. I'm just give it for the completion, for the sake of information. Okay, so for the completing the information only. Okay, so this outfit was operating in Telangana region, and we have a separate lecture how we are tackling those insurgent groups in the Telangana and all. Okay, the above groups raised a violent arms against the India, and they got indicted in 2003. Okay, I will discuss this thing. Okay, be connected with the internal security playlist of my channel. I will discuss this thing also separate, because this is also a big topic. For the completion of information, I have just given it here as an introduction only. Okay, moving ahead, the most preferred target for the Naxal groups in India. Just give much attention. We are coming at the end of the lecture. The most preferred target for the Naxal group is what? Only the government. Whatever will be related with the government is the target for them. It means what? Government development. Government development will be, how can be seen? By the development of infrastructure. What is the infrastructure there? They will attack on that. So further, because of that kind of thing, they are even attacking the schools of the children, hospitals, and to show their presence. So the most preferred target, so the target for the government infrastructure was there. Even schools and hospitals are on target because they represent government infrastructure. Okay, further, the security forces, obviously they will target the security forces, so such as the state police, CRPF, and also they target for conduct of elections. Okay, one more thing, they target the conduct of election because it represents the foundation of democracy. Okay, one more thing I have to clear it here. Clear one more point. See, Naxal groups. Okay, Naxal groups, it is something that who can favor election, but the Maoist group will not give the favor to election because they want to remove the government. Okay, they will not favor the election, but the Naxal group will favor the election because this is a mass movement. Okay, but if there is some Naxal group who has raised arms against the government, then they will not support the election, because they are following the policy of whom? They are following the steps of whom? That the Maoist one. Okay, so if that Naxal group is against is following the Maoist policies, then they will target the elections also. Okay, so ultimately it means what? In India, as I've said in the previous slide, in India it is Naxal, in China it was Maoist. Okay, it is just a copy of that one, and this Naxal get developed by the Maoist idea. It was not something in starting. In starting it was a mass movement only. That's why we will see CPI party still, there are many factions of the CPI party still running as a national party. Okay, I hope you understand it. I have given so much time for this, make you understand. So generally they do not target the local population, because it depends upon the mass mobilization only, but they have targeted the police, informal officials, and the local people who is helping the government of officials. So if the local people who is helping the government officials and leaking the information of the local people, then they will target those people also. Okay, so one more thing I want to clear, that there is no any hard and fast rule that Naxal people will not support election and Maoist people will not Naxal people will support election, Maoist people will not support election. So if Naxalism people, Naxalites are who? They are Naxalbari village only, they were the people of country. Now this term got emerged. Okay, so if they are following the policy of Maoist, it means what? In India it is Naxalites, and they have raised arms against the government, thus they are going against the election. But in the starting it was a mass mobilization, and it means if the mass mobilization, it means like they can remove the government by the elections also. But if they are following the policy of Maoist, then they will go against the elections too. Okay, from where they will get the weapons funding? See, many Western countries and our neighbors like Pakistan and China don't want our country to be developed. Okay, so what they do, they fund these type of insurgent groups. Okay, they give fund to them to create terror in the country. They provide weapons to them to create terrorism. Okay, so the one mode of source of funding for these type of groups is our neighbors only. Okay, and the Western countries too. So the extortion and other source was like kidnapping or all. They will kidnap the government officials or the children of any government servant, and they will ask for money and all for relieving them. After that, then when they will get the money, then they will buy the weapons and all. Other steps will be like they will capture police station, and then they will loot all the weapons present in that police station. So these are the different methods of hacking or getting the weapons for them. So the extortion and kidnapping are the most common way of funding. They also receive a local contribution from those who are sympathetic to Naxal cause, because the Naxal are who? Naxal fighting for the power for the local people. So there may be some people who will be sympathetic to them. Okay, so they will be helping to them. So once the government also found the funding of some communist revolutionary movement in India by extending the support through intelligent agency also. So sometimes to the corruption within the intelligence agency also they were getting the support. Further, they target to loot the police station and bases where the weapons are present, and they also procure for the locally made weapons also. So locally made weapons may be something like katta. Okay, so you have heard in the many movies also, Gangs of Wasepur and all, that is katta kind of things. That is a gun, local gun. So I hope you understand it better. I have given so much time. Okay, please subscribe it, please share with your friends. You are making a payment in the form of subscription only, and if you are liking it, subscribing it, this will further motivate me to make such videos with that effort, with this effort. Okay, and if you have any suggestions or instructions, please ping me on my Twitter handle. If you want any on-demand video lecture too, just ping me on my Twitter handle. Okay, thank you.